Happy Wednesday, everybody. This is PC0813 coming to you guys from the Pro Traders Lounge with a brief public update on Bitcoin. We've had a couple of very interesting weeks on Bitcoin, some data to catch you all up on, and having just gotten back from vacation, catching up on myself. So let's go ahead and dig into the charts and see what we're seeing today. And first thing I want to review is what we talked about many, many moons ago, and that was our range deviation theory, which is playing out just like we discussed a long, long time ago. So after we broke out of our high time frame range, we created this deviation of our high time frame range back towards the beginning of the year when we broke it back into our channel and broke above 19.3 is when we were looking for ultimately a range deviation to the upside, which it looks like we're currently putting in at the moment. Now, let's real quick go back and talk about where we landed, because I thought that was interesting. Very interesting level. It wasn't actually something I was looking for in terms of an exact bottom, but I do see why it hit. So when we examine the volume pull of the impulse up, we notice this pocket of buyer onlys that was being protected on the bullish side, and that is what got our bounce to the dollar. I was looking, I think a lot of people were looking for a hair lower to get into this pocket of buyer onlys, into this old SR level, but we never got it. So once we saw the trend change, we recognized that in the lounge, changed up accordingly, and rode the long up to our deviation point. Now this blue line here, our area of interest, where we did expect price to kind of rotate around, which is exactly what it's doing right now. It's nothing more than just looking at the volume of the impulse down. It's the only real high volume area we have up until 30K. So it's natural for price to spend some time around here before making either a rejection, like a failed auction, back into the range, or continuing on up to 30K. So that's the range that got us here. Now that we're here, let's talk about what we're seeing. Now this is just some old data to go over. We had our impulse up from the beginning of the year up until February before we started to put in any kind of sideways chop. We had that inefficiency pocket that was very cleared once beautifully, cleared twice, and this is when we were in the lounge calling for lower. Saying I did not expect this pocket to get cleared cleanly twice. I was looking for lower. We got it. Again, a hair higher than our expected buying zone, but we see why. We did recognize it though. Once we got back into our inefficiency pocket, triggered a buy, and we just kept heading up from there. Now let's take a look at some of the new data we're looking at. Something that points out to me is just eyeballing. It's right around the point of control of our current impulse up, kind of ends at the ledge where the point of, that pocket where the point of control is. But this SR zone right here has not really been back tested. So that's one area I'd be looking for starters. It's just clear you can eyeball this one. And then resistance, 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 resistance. It comes down, resistance, 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 breaks through, and we got to back test it for support at some point. That's that's what I would be waiting for in terms of like a back test long. If we were going to chop around up here, also, as you can see, that 25K would be a nice back test of our range right here. And when we take an impulse volume pull from high to low, it would also be a retest back to our point of control area. So if we end up this pump that we're currently in right now, if it keeps going, yeah, let it go to 30K. I'm not going to fight it. But if we hold below this value area high, if we close this 12-hour candle below 28,165, I would be leaning towards some kind of a retracement down. But at the moment, we're moving up. No reason to fight it, right? Don't fight the trend. But if we do see that trend is not being continued, then I would look to take a short if we can't hold that 183 area on the higher time frame charts. Just looking for a small retrace down. Now, getting back into our data over here, let's take a look at what we are kind of forming at the moment. So I've noticed that we are forming a parallel channel to the upside. It was fairly clean up until recently, but what I like is the back test that we're putting in right now. You can see it was kind of clean, high, 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 midpoint. Called the bounce perfectly, high, down, you got some slicing through the midpoint, and then low. It's been a nice channel. Right now we're chopping within it. Now on Sunday, I took a short based upon us closing back within this region. And I mean, it's not a swing short, so I'm taking profits here, I'm taking profits here, I'm taking profits here. We made some good paper money off that. What I do like, though, is that we're back testing this channel, holding within it, while holding this value area high. So this is going to be an interesting reaction for me to watch, because if we don't hold above the channel, above the value area high, then I'm leaning towards a retrace back down into our POC, potential SR zone. That's the first level I would be looking at. If we were to start heading down from a high time frame perspective, because that's really what we want. I mean, we can get Bitcoin scalps all day long, but we want those high probability moves where we get decent percentages, and that's what we're discussing now. So going over the high time frame impulse data, where it got impulsive right here towards the end of December, a low to our high. You also notice around our SR zone, our point of control zone, that we have the high time frame impulse value area high. So that would be, from a high time frame perspective, a very bullish place to bounce from. Because if we hold the value area high of an impulse, then we do expect to take out the impulse high. So that would be a bullish buying zone right there, would be in the 24.8 to 25.1 area. However, I mean, nothing's a certainty on Bitcoin. We can always get a rotation back down, and we have to be prepared for that. That's the bullish scenario. Bullish A, we just keep moving up from here. Bullish B is a 24.8, 25 retrace and bounce. If we hold a bounce, it's bullish. If we don't hold the bounce, that's when things start to get a little more hairy, a little more complicated. And I would look to basically look for a small bounce. You got to be patient. You'll get small little rotations and undulations on the way down, here and here. Ultimately, I'd be looking for this value area low. Make sure I got that lined up right. There we go. Get that lined up just right for you guys. Yeah, this is what I'd be looking for. As kind of a midpoint buying zone, if I'm being honest, because it's not a deep retracement buying zone just yet. But 21.2 to 21.5 channel bottom, value area low, the impulse, retesting the inefficiency pocket, and we do have a volume gap from our impulse coming on up. So that is something I would keep an eye on. If we do break below 25, I wouldn't be terribly interested in buying. I mean, I'll take scalps, 20 to 24, 23K. But I would be waiting for the 21Ks if we break below 25. Break below 25, nothing there has changed. Waiting for the mid-lower 18Ks with a possible wick location to our ledge at 17.5. You get below that, we're taking out lows. So from a high time frame perspective, we do have 3 places that we're looking for support. And then to the upside, what we need to look at, why are we even looking at these levels? So we need to look at an uncleared portion of an impulse. So this area all right here is one big impulse, but a lot of it has been cleared by this move up. So I want to take a look at the uncleared portion of the impulse. So I'm just looking at this right here. And what do I see staring me in the face? We have our little volume pocket here. I think a lot of people see this point of control. I really do. I think it's kind of an obvious level. The volume gap above it, though, I think could offer a sniper type entry. If 30K is to be resistance, I think 38 would be a good, I'm going to call it a scalp with potential level, because I think a lot of people are looking at 30K as resistance. I think it will offer some resistance, enough to get a couple of take profits out of. 38, 30.8 is the level I'm looking at specifically in that instance, just because I do think this is rather obvious. And this would be more of like, again, a sniper wick location. Now let's back it out even further. So that's one area. And then above that, let's go ahead and pull all this up together before we get our areas of interest. One thing I do like about our volume gap is if we take a look of a fixed range pull of the mini range that we put in before we drop down, we still haven't tapped this mini range yet. The point of controls are lining up on both, the mini range and the impulse. Again, it's a fairly obvious level. I like a little bit higher. Value area high of the mini range, volume gap. I mean, it's not that big of a difference, but in the grand scheme of things, you know, you give me a difference of $600 to $800 in my Bitcoin position, that could mean a lot in terms of profitability. So I would hold out for the mid upper 30Ks as opposed to really going heavy at this 30K, 3150 level. It just seems a bit too obvious in my opinion. So I just wait for a hair higher in regards to 30K. And then when we back it out even more, what are we looking for? Because if we clear this volume ledge, we don't have much until 35. And then again, that's just going to be a little rotation point. It's not going to we'll rotate around it. I don't think it's going to be a rejection point. What I do like is this ledge at 37,500. Looking at it right to left, it's a clear high time frame SR level. You get above that, you have a lot of buyer volume. So if bears wanted to defend a level that was higher up, that would be a level to defend. So in the end, let's go ahead and mark this out here so we got this for everybody. So my areas of interest. We've got the value area high ultimately of the move down. We can't disregard that because of our volume context that plays out over 90% of the time. If we claim the point of control, we make a trip up to the value area high, so we have to be ready for that. But levels in between, when that's right around 40K, that's what I would consider a make or break point. If we do get up there and reject, that could be considered a swing short. If we reject, it really could be. If it's claimed, then we're getting into a scenario I didn't really foresee for this year. Because as you guys know, I was looking for some ranging. My scenario for this year was coming up, a little rotation, right? And then ranging, deviation, come back in the range. That was my plan. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's okay. But you get above 40K, and that's getting into levels that wasn't really prepared to see this year. So it's just getting impulsive, not going to fight the impulse. We'll just ride with it. Below that, we've got 37.5, that ledge, really protecting this pocket of volume here. So I would expect some resistance there. At the very least, a first touch scalp will get you a number of take profits. A little closer, a little more local. We have the volume gap sitting at 30.8. I do think that's an obvious level. I'm just saying that right now. I think we'll get a reaction. It just looks a little obvious to me. Currently, we're fighting with this channel to see if we can get above it in this value area high. So this is what I'm watching today. If we close below, I would comfortably take a short with the stop loss being a high time frame close above the value area high and looking to ride it down into our SR zone. Just have to see if we get follow through. And below that, we have our channel low volume gap area are in the 21Ks. And then again, we have our area we've been waiting for a long time, mid-low 18Ks, back test of our channel lows down here. Hasn't happened yet. And as long as it hasn't happened, I'm going to continue talking about it. Because the day we forget about it is the day we waterfall and tap mid-low 18Ks. So I will never forget about that. But that is the current lay of the land right now. We've got some, good high time frame supports below, very clear, very identifiable. We do have some regions above to keep an eye on. In reality, I just need to see if this deviation's playing out. If it is playing out and we get, break below 25K, then I think we're going to see this rotation back down to 21, which is, again, near our channel. You see where I'm going with this. I think we're getting back into the range bound scenario. So anyhow, that is what I am seeing on Bitcoin. I hope you guys got some value from it. I know I certainly can see a lot of context from here. I know I have some triggers that I'll be watching today. If you have any questions, hit me up. If you want some more updates, smash the like button, put some comments on here. If you didn't understand anything, let me know. And as always, happy to give an update for you guys. And I will catch you guys in the lounge or on our next public video. As a quick reminder, everything we discussed was for educational and entertainment purposes only, and all trades discussed were paper trades. Have a great Wednesday, everybody. Take care.